You're looking at some players and you're like, that would be really interesting.
Actually, like change like this. What
We had clear role conflicts and every player in the team knew it.
Vad vi än gör måste vi ta ett beslut som suger.
If there is someone to blame, it should be me.
We will have like the oldest lineup in the scene almost.
We are going to win tournaments. We have to be on the top, right? My name is Eric Wendell, and I'm the director of esports at NIP. I joined NIP back in August 21, just a few months after Device joined NIP. It was an interesting time, right? And there were some tournament wins coming around the corner. There was a Stockholm major right around the corner after I joined. I really loved NIP from childhood, you know, being a Swedish person myself and always been following NIP. The idea of bringing me into NIP was basically to be Jonah's kind of right hand on operational topics. So I did that for about 2 years-ish, and then because of changes internally, I got the opportunity to take over the esports department on not only the operational side, but now also the kind of strategic side. My first move I made back in then August, September was to hire Björn Threat Perses, the GM of CS, because that's one thing, I do not have that deep CS knowledge that's necessary to make these calls. We decided directly when we took over that transparency was going to be key. We were super transparent with the players and they were super professional about it. So Björn basically told them, I think just a few weeks in, that we're going to make changes because at that point, this is August, September, right? We had clear role conflicts and every player in the team knew it.
First, you need to start with the foundation, the culture within the team, and that everyone sort of gets along. I mean, that goes a little bit hand in hand. And when I rejoined NIP now, I could tell that didn't work in the current lineup. When you're going to change a player, there's a lot of steps to be done. Obviously, you need to have a replacement for the player you're changing. You need to make sure the roles match. You also need to make sure you're actually able to get the player, that the player wants to join, that it's financially feasible, marketing-wise that it's feasible. There is a lot of things that needs to be right.
The coach in our case will be involved in a lot of the player changing process, because there is no way for me to have a coach that I can put responsibility on if he himself doesn't believe in the team he's in.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that. I think it should be my head on the line when it doesn't go well with the team. So I mean, I don't mind it. If there is someone to blame, it should be me. I mean, first of all, we looked for a leader. I think that was the first thing we looked at. Just get something fresh in. I mean, it's nothing bad with Hampus and all that, but I also think that it was time for him to move on. And I think we agreed on that, both me and him.
Even going back to the end of 2022 when we went international, Alex was one of the names I was looking at. Then I moved away from NIP for almost a year, World 2023, and during that period of time I was talking to some teams for head coach positions, and I saw that a lot of those teams were having Alex on their lists as well, making him an even more interesting prospect. And also what really makes him interesting to me is that he's been in Movistar Riders for such a long time, overperforming to the players he's had, limiting himself to only Spanish players. And that was very, very impressive. We started talking to him early September, and it was actually looking like we were closing out something that early. What happened then was, what could happen in this world of esports is Heroic started making some moves that creates a lot of interesting opportunities for us.
So of course, you're looking at some players and you're like, that would be really interesting. Björn was talking around and asking a lot of what's out there and what is it looking like.
And we had some very advanced conversations with Cadian for the position, who's obviously a more seasoned tier 1 IGL than Alex. Obviously, Alex understood this.
So if you get Cadian, you bring an AWPer in, then you also have to remove your current AWPer, Hedrick in our case, so that would create another challenge. And we're really happy with Tetrick, right? We really wanted to keep working with him. If you bring Alex in, he's not only a great IGL and also having that energy, which was an important part for us. Getting the energy part was important, and both Alex and KDN is bringing that to the table. But something really interesting with Alex as well is that he's been really good in bringing the best out of his AWPers. And that is something that was also very interesting for us, being like, all right, what can this guy do with Hetrick? How can this guy help a young, talented AWPer like Hetrick to get even better? And in the end, we decided to go with Alex, and we're super happy about that.
To summarize, how yesterday evening it was looking grim. We weren't getting Alex until January. It changed again. So, and now talk to you as well. We talked about it yesterday evening. Edu talked to Movistar Riders for like 3 hours. They sorted out Alex is now free to go after a game he has tomorrow. So last game with Movistar is tomorrow, and then he's free to do whatever with.
Oh, actually?
Actually, like it changed like this.
What the
Yeah, that's what I was called yesterday, because I was like, you never know in esports, and here we are, 12 hours later.
I mean, other than that, I had a long chat with Daniel yesterday. We had a long chat, Trolls.
You, me, Haste, Daniel about the lineup. Daniel spoke with Patrick. He is excited to start again.
For STag, it was basically we needed a guy that is going to play the anchor and lurk positions and also do it very well. Because the issue was that Rest has been playing them, and I don't think he should have done that.
Like, everyone seems very excited to get going, and still not 100% with Brolan config. We're leaning towards config.
Och alltså, det suger ju. Det är så här, vad vi än gör måste vi ta ett beslut som suger.
Ja.
Och det är världens svåraste beslut. Jag tror vi studsade mellan dem 3 gånger igår på liksom för- och nackdelar. Och vi får se. Vi måste ju bestämma oss snart. Eller jag måste bestämma det snart.
If we keep Krelle, we will have like the oldest lineup in the scene almost. Which is like, at this point, you sort of have to, there will always be some pros and cons to everything. So in general, I don't really care about age, to be honest.
And if the effect we want is to be in the best position to actually continue building in 6 months or 1 year, right?
Mm-hmm.
Then I don't think it matters that much about the age.
At this point, it is going to be Brolan who becomes benched.
So this first transfer window of CS2, I'd say it's a bit different. I'm so old that I lived through the CS 1.6, the CSGO. Right, some players make the transitions better than others. So this window is kind of high risk, high reward in the sense where like you could go all in and get players now, but you are not 100% sure they're going to make the cut. At the same time, there's going to be a lot of players that's going to come out of nowhere, or rather players that maybe have been at a decent level that will just make the transition into CS2 much better. Thus, it's sort of a transfer window where you have to be a bit careful.
You said, Björn, from the start that you want to look and see to what young players are up and coming, right? Then it's perfect to have a team that is ready to slot a young guy in whenever.
Yeah, I even told Daniel
very good point.
That I will prioritize young ninjas more than I have in the past, because especially the start of CS2, because I honestly think that's going to be way more important. So in that mind, I'm actually sort of almost looking towards the next major already, because I think you have to have that mindset.
We had a tournament now just a few weeks ago here in December where the top rated player was Donk, right? 16-year-old. A few months ago, no one heard about him, and now he's the hottest prospect in CS2. So that's a good example of someone that you probably wouldn't know about a few months back. Now we do, and there's going to be more of these players coming up, right? If you look back on kind of the investors and the people that put the money into NIP and the CS team, they want NIP to be the best as well. If Björn and I would really push for it, we could probably get the money for a superstar signing right now. And I think we've seen this in the past. I mean, we did some, it's been like Device, it's been Brolan, all these were big signings, right? Some of the biggest signings of that time. So yeah, there's no one is afraid of making those signings from a financial point of view, but it has to be the right time. The timeline is pretty clear. January 25, you have to be top competing, there's no shortcuts, there's going to be ranking points and qualifiers only. That's the way you stay on the top. That's when we need to be, being on the very top, have the best players, have everything working out. Right now, we're working we're in the beginning of that journey, right? The beginning of me and Björn taking over. We're really happy with the players we have right now. Everyone is really working their hardest, and we'll see what happens. I mean, there's a possibility that the players we have right now will be some of the best players in CS2. That would be great, right? That would be the best solution. But if that is not, then of course we would look into, after the RMR major, there will be transfer windows, and we'll see what we do at that point. That's when you could spend money on a superstar signing. Because NIP, the goal, and that has to be very clear, it's not a goal to be, yeah, we're gonna have some good players, we're gonna be in some tournaments. We are going to win tournaments. We have to be on the top, right?
The pressure I put on myself, not the players, on myself, is I want to have something going and that I feel proud of the performance of the team in 12 months' time. It's not having franchise league, not having that safety, but rather you have to perform quite well at all times. Will put a lot of teams in check, and I do find a challenge like that exciting.